Alright guys, so finally all the waiting is over and we finally have something to properly do. Now this is something you need to get used to with the game just in general. With a lot of stuff it is worth waiting for quite some time in order for the right moment. So there's obviously always the incentive to just all of a sudden jump in, dump your resources, maybe it's shards, maybe it's silver, maybe it's something else, into the sparkly things. You want to pull, some new champion. You want to pull something as exciting. But believe me, it's always worth waiting. We talked about this in the context of the ×2 event for Sacred Shards, and right now we have the same thing also going on with the Dragon Tournament. So, what we want from the Dragon Slayer, and what I actually already told you a few times, just on a side note in the previous videos, is more than anything else the speed set. Speed set is one of the best sets that you have. There are other sets that are quite useful when we're talking about Dragon Slayer. Currently, with your account, you should find yourself in a situation anyways where you are lacking halfway decent items. You got some through the daily logins, you got some also through the dungeons and the progression, but generally speaking, you're probably in a spot right now where you're getting more and more champions and you're thinking, okay, how do I optimize, for example, Alice? How do I make my Ugo stronger? What do I do with the other epics that I now all of a sudden have that could help me in Faction Wars? And it's getting a bit tricky because you're sitting on a lot of 3-star, 4-star items that you don't want to upgrade too much. And right now we finally have the perfect event for it. Now, there is currently also a tournament up. The problem with the tournament is it's not a normal tournament for the Dragon Slayer, but instead we have a Dragon Turn attack. Now don't get me wrong, if you can actually aim for one of the top spots here, as I already explained in a previous video, then try and do that to get the Relentless gear. There's a really good Relentless gear here with a lot of tournaments. It's fairly easy to aim for those top spots. When it comes to the turn attack tournaments, it's a little bit more difficult. If you find yourself in a spot where your comp is fast enough that you can get something out of this, then hey, by all means go for it. I currently don't make myself any hopes on this tournament specifically, even though I currently plan to just pull all of my resources essentially into this. The key factor here is really that we're talking about a ×3 event on speed items. So at this point in time, whatever the highest stage is that you can do, make sure that you farm this hard. For me, this currently means that I'm getting items between 4 and 6 star. I would love to break through a little bit more and get to stage 20. This is where the good stuff really starts, because then you don't get 4-star items anymore. But I'm still too far away from this. I need to get more masteries for other champions. But I have by now also a team set up that should work pretty nicely for this. So we're going to go into the Dragon Slayer for that very reason. But the whole idea here is that basically you're now also using the gems that you have in order to just farm the Dragon Slayer. Speed items are super important. You're also going to find other items here that might not suit the speed set, but that either as a set item or even as a broken item, as a broken set, might give you what you need. Because obviously we're still looking for gloves that give us crit rate, we're looking for crit damage, we're looking for speed just in general. So this is really the time now to finally go and farm as much as you can and take advantage of that +3 on speed. What we're also going to do in one of the next videos, what actually requested in the comments, is that we're going to go again through the items and going to make a little bit of a selection of what do you want to keep, what are you trying to focus on, what is important that you sell, because again you're starting to clog up also your entire inventory. So we're going to look at the artifacts and going to see what we're going to do with those. Now again, if you're farming now the Dragon Slayer while this event is on, then you should end up with tons of items. I'm going to do exactly that. I'm going to let this run. I'm going to invest all of my gems into extra energy for it. And then afterwards, again, we're going to take a closer look at items, what to keep, what to equip. And might also then end up with, for example, a regear, because Alice, she, at least on my end, definitely needs a little bit more in regards to what we're getting from spiders. I need an amulet on her, for example, but her gear is also not the best. It's decent. I have the gear currently on level 16 for all of it. But she has, for example, I believe she has 4-star boots at this point, so this is something that you want to replace with at least 5-star sweet boots if you can. In an ideal world, 6-star. She is still the key champion for us, especially when we're talking about Arena, for example. So the faster she is, the better. But at the same time, you of course also need to maintain a little bit of her sustain that you need for other areas like campaign farming. I still have her in a Life Leech set, and I might now slowly get to a point where I don't need that anymore. Initially, that was needed to get you through the Brutal campaign, So the farming there, I think on that end I'm already good. But for some of the dungeons, she still survives as the last woman standing, and will need that extra sustain. So if I can find a couple of items now while I'm farming here in the Dragon's Lair that boost her, let's say, her crit damage even further, I might be able to get rid of the Life Leech gear. But you're probably going to see it in this run too. I mean, again, we're going to get the boss down here fairly quickly, but she is going to end up at a point where that Life Leech is important. Now, we have obviously Leech from Ugo as well, so that's quite nice. As long as he's alive and can apply that, we can take advantage of that. That's great. But with all the poison damage that is coming from the dragon, eventually everybody else usually dies. This one actually goes exceptionally well. So right now I still have 2 standing, but Alice didn't have too much problems there either. But you will see some situations where I might still have to rely on Life Leech. Depends a little bit on what we're getting. If I get her to 100% crit rate, for example, with really good crit damage gloves, then it's a bit of a different story. One more thing that you probably also noticed in the context here is when it comes to the item sets, another set that we're getting here is the accuracy set. Generally speaking, we want perception. This is something that you craft in the forge. I guess I'm going to also dip into that a little bit when we're talking about items just in general in the next video. But perception is something that you're going to get a lot once that you're progressing further in faction wars, in all of your faction dungeons. But right now, it's probably something that you can't get enough of. So good accuracy here is another thing that at this stage of your account you can still use, because the higher you go, you will need a lot more accuracy. And while the guild hall covers that to some extent, you will need a little bit more. So depending on the champion that we're talking about, accuracy, Life Leech, and the speed sets that we're getting here are really nice. There's a few other sets that you might need for the odd isolated champion. A Stalwart set can be sometimes quite nice. This is also where a little bit of a trap comes with items in general. You're always thinking like, oh, what if I get this one champion where I could potentially use that niche set to go into a specific dungeon. We're going to talk about all of this. We're going to go deep into which items to keep, which items to sell. Obviously always dependent on what exactly you need in regards to silver too. With that being said, though, for now, it is hunting time. Hunt that dragon, get those speed sets. I hope that everything goes well, and I wish you good luck with grabbing as many great items as you can possibly get. Not like me here, where I just get some brews. That's obviously the worst case scenario. But as I said before, use your gems. Make sure that you farm this as much as you can over the next 1 or 2 days until the event is over. And then we're going to go through all of the items. So don't sell anything just yet if you're unsure. We're going to go more into detail with that, but for now it is Dragon Lair time. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. Always happy to help there. And again, good luck hunting for more artifacts, especially of course when it comes to those elusive speed sets, speed boots. So guys, let's go, and I'll see you in the next one.